Hey, runners only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is runners only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. This is runners only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is runners only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. Hey, runners only with Dom Harvey.
Runners Only with Dom Harvey, and I'm currently in South Auckland in the, what is it, the spinal unit?
Spinal rehab unit,
Auckland Spinal Rehabilitation Unit.
Yeah. Thank you. With a couple of legends of the running community in New Zealand, Ali Pottinger and Kerry Suter. Good morning.
Hey, Dom.
Hi, everyone.
So good to be sitting here with you guys. You know, the last couple of years, I think, have been a dumpster fire for most people in New Zealand. But it's fair to say it's hard to imagine how 2022 could be more of a fuck-up of a year for anyone than what it's been for you guys. And it's also hard to imagine that anyone else could be as positive and resilient and smile through the shit they've been through this year. Like you guys are simply inspirational, both of you.
Thanks, Dom. Yeah, it's sort of a give and take year for us, isn't it? You know, obviously the news of the accident. You know, I managed to fall off my bike and break my neck a couple of months ago, and it's pretty permanent. It's pretty bad. So I spent a life in a chair, which is pretty tough, but some good news too, eh?
Yeah. So when Kerry had his accident, I was 7.5 weeks pregnant after 6 years of trying. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster year for us so far, and I guess it'll continue that way.
Oh, congratulations. So you're pregnant?
Yeah, I love Dom's face right now.
Oh, sure. So I found out just before the accident, and I topped it off by half a year.
I certainly went to great lengths to get out of changing nappies, Dom.
Right. Okay, so the accident was on 26th of Feb?
Yeah,
26th of Feb. Now, I'm a fan of yours. I follow you on Strava. Give an indication of the sort of guy you are. So a week before the accident, on Strava, you can see you had like a 17-hour run, 60 kilometres, up and down a few mountains.
I arrived at this point where actually what I enjoyed doing was just getting out there and having these experiences with mates and going places. And one of the, weirdly, the last thing on my bucket list that I wanted to do was that I wanted to go and tick off the 3 volcanoes in Tongariro National Park in one push. So I just went down there on a Friday with a mate and ran up Ruapehu and then down to the chateau and across to Tongariro and up Ngauruhoe and then back to where we started at Kino and closed out the loop in 17 hours. This sort of stuff you just, me and my mates would do on a sort of a summer's mission.
That's such a cool thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, long day.
Yeah. I've had some long days. I've done some 30-hour missions before and...
So this is the thing for me with spinal injuries like the one you've got. I think it'd be a massive adjustment and it'd be a hard thing to cope with and deal with for anybody. But when you're someone like yourself or Brad Smaler, who was a wakeboarder that I had on the podcast a couple of months ago, I reckon it's got to be even tougher in the respect that here you are. You're pushing your body to the limit. You're using it as it's supposed to be used. You've
really bookended physiology, haven't I? I've gone from a point where, incredible fitness, like resting heart rate of 37 and, and you can just go out for a weekend run for 17 hours if that's what you want to do. And now I'm at a point where I've got no legs and, I can barely move my arms and, I've lost, it's not going to get any better. I've got no movement or sense, below sort of my armpits. So, it's like it couldn't possibly be a further, more different life for me. But, I still carry that attitude forward, like the same things that drove me to be, like a good athlete or, a great coach was, they still exist inside me. I fell on my head, but none of my brains fell out. I'm still the same person. So I've got to have the same motivation, the same outlook on life.
If I was in your position, I think I'd be in a state of denial for your weeks, months, even years, which would not be a great place to be or a healthy place to be. But you sort of seem to accept it straight away and accept it with quite good humour.
The key things are acceptance and gratitude. I think you've got to accept where you are, and it doesn't matter who you are. You really have to. Once you realise that perhaps there's a way out of there, and that you can still be the main person that you were before. What defined me, I think, was, not my legs or, people don't love you for your legs. They love you for who you are. So I'm still that person, and I realised very early on that I could still be a running coach and I can still help people. And I just love helping people, and that's what we've been able to do. That's my way out of there. That was a light at the end of the tunnel, even when in the darkest moments. I remember even then, I had a conversation with an ICU doctor about whether I was a candidate for assisted suicide. You swing both ways with it. It's very, very hard to. At that point, I was a head on a pillow. You can't move anything. Even now, I can't move in bed or roll over or do anything. But you wonder whether it's worth going on. But at the same time, you've got so much to live for. I've got 2 girls and maybe one more on the way.
Hopefully one more on the way.
Yeah.
But I think that's been a tricky thing as well, because when you're in that position, you don't see the way forward. Like you're just in that moment, and so that's what you think it is. But there was a really good turning point, probably maybe 3 weeks ago, when we met Gareth Lynch, who's a wheel black Paralympian, and we went over to the gym. They train in the gym just over there, and Kerry said to Gaz, do you still have hard days? Because Gaz is now 5 years down the track from his injury, and Gaz was just like this. He's just like beaming. He's just this radiant kind of enthusiastic guy, and he's like, "Nah, man, not really, eh?" And seeing people engaging with their community, laughing, having fun, being active was really key for Kerry mentally, kind of going, okay, there's still stuff to aim towards. Yeah.
Where does this come from? This like relentless positivity. I mean, it's such a good attitude.
Yeah, my dad killed himself when I was very young, and I think that sort of shapes who you are a lot, I think. You just sort of realise that you've got to start with loving yourself first, and once you're comfortable with who you are, then you've got the capacity to love others. So, just highly motivated to get the best that I can out of my life, and help others as well.
Yeah. Oh, we're all getting a little bit emotional
Stop
here.
that shit. Far out. I didn't think we were going to do this.
10 minutes in.
Me crying today, and I've got you guys in tears.
Yes, we can definitely talk about running if you want.
Oh, you guys are a hell of a couple. I'm guessing when one of you is having a bad day or a negative moment, the other one would step up to the plate and say, "Come on, shake it off." Is that how it works with you two?
Yeah, there's not a lot of bad days actually when we're together. And one of the event directors calls us the Sapphire couple or something.
Yeah.
We're just like always beaming and always great. I think we bounce off each other really well, and just a really good team.
I think a good partner is an enabler, and I've been thinking about it more lately, and it's tricky, right? Because Kerry's become disabled, and so how I can enable him in this situation, but also it's really important still to have fun and laugh and love, and so it's trying to bring that balance always to our relationship. Yeah.
It always has been pretty good, I think. Since in the time we've been together 7 years, I think we've just really grown together really well. And Squadrun was born out of that, our running business, and it's obviously grown as well along the way. But I think people are drawn to that positivity as well, and we're really quite committed to what we do. And I've lost a little bit of the outlet. Like when you're having a bit of a rough day, Dom, you can go out for a run and you can sort of shake it out.
Yeah.
It's a fix for problems, Or often doesn't fix a problem, but you feel better about it.
Yeah, you do. Just the endorphins and things.
Yeah. So I've lost that ability. So
no, you haven't, because what's happening now is you're getting on the upper limb cycle and
doing what I can.
Hand cycling it out or...
Yeah, so what happened with the arms? Because I arrived here just before we started recording, and I met you in your chair, and you gave me a fist pump, and I was really surprised. It was a great sign. So when you after the accident, you got taken into hospital, and you had nothing from the neck down.
Yeah.
No arms or anything.
No. So the level of my injury, I broke a C5. So they fused C5 and C6 together in my spine. So if you're counting down the vertebrae from really the skull itself, I'm down at sort of C5, which is my injury, and so that means my spinal cord works down to C4, and C4 gives you shoulders, and it gives me biceps, but really nothing else. So I can move my arms with my biceps only, but the unfortunate thing is I have no triceps, so my hands just collapse. I can't really raise my arms above my head or anything. So I can sort of flap my arms around like Kermit. And you remember Kermit, you know, if you ever watched him singing about rainbows, you'd think he's not really playing that guitar, is he?
Yeah.
So it's a lot
banjo,
like so yeah, it's sort of a lot like Kermit, I think, in that regard. But good to have that mobility. And again, when I say one of the things is acceptance and gratitude, I'm grateful for what I have, because if I'd broken my spine just one vertebrae up, I wouldn't even have my arms. So I'm very lucky to have that. So it will let me do some hand cycling and various other sports, which will be good. So I'm looking forward to that in the years to come.
Yeah, is it going to improve?
No, I'm Asia B, which is quite a bad damage to the spinal column. The amount of the severity of that damage means that there is not a lot of connectivity beyond the point of injury.
So you have sensation below your point of injury, but no motor control.
Right.
So I can feel a lot of things. Eggplant emoji. A lot of stuff still have a sensor.
Oh yeah, have you got some?
Don't worry about it.
You brought it up.
I can't move things below the point of injury.
Right.
But lots of things I have sensitivity in. So,
right.
So every day when I'm doing my bowel cares, I'm 100% sensitive to those fingers that are in my bum. But I don't have any ability to squeeze those fingers, unfortunately.
Right. Bowel care. What's?
Well, because obviously the damage is so bad to my body, they have to, put suppositories in me each morning and
because you've got no core, so you can't
I've got
activate
no
your
trunk. I've got nothing, and it's not just the muscles; it's the nervous system as well. So the body is it's in a real state there, because I can't tell that anything is wrong. I don't even know if I'm hungry or full or anything.
Did you want to talk about the accident and the day it happened, or not really?
I just went out for a bike ride one morning and went over the handlebars. Dom, have you been over the handlebars of your bike?
I live with so much fear. I sort of assess risk, so I would never attempt.
Well done. We shouldn't see you in here. We shouldn't see you in here.
I've just been a pussy my entire life. Like I'd go skateboarding with my friends, and I wouldn't go do ollies down the steps. And so what was it? Can you explain the run or
it was just a mountain bike ride? I just went for an ordinary bike ride, and I went off. I was riding an illegal trail in the Whakarewarewa forest. Like everything in my life, I'd try and level up, but always sort of pushing my ability a little bit. So it's sort of progressing through mountain biking the last 5 years, and trying harder things and biking a little bit harder. And I went off a feature that was probably about 1.5 meters to 2 meters high, and just didn't get enough front nose up, and landed hard on the front shock, and just went over the handlebars and landed on my head, and not a scratch on my helmet, not a scratch on the bike. My neck took it all, and I just broke a vertebrae lying there, looking up at the trees with mates, holding my hands and making the right phone calls. Ali just, you had gone for a swim?
Oh, I'd gone for a run around Tiki Tapu, and weirdly, when Kerry had his accident, I kind of the morning sun was filtering through the trees, and I just stopped and I was like, oh, it's just so beautiful, and I was feeling so content with my life, and then got back and got ready to get changed for an open water swim. So I had my had Kerry's wetsuit half up my waist, and then I got this phone call, and I'd been actually not wanting him to ride that trail.
Yeah, I think I read this in an article and stuff or somewhere. You said the day before you were going to do it, and you just had a bad feeling about it.
Oh, he'd recce'd it. He'd kind of gone and walked through the trail and had a look at it, and I've run it before as well, and I was just thinking, I just don't know about this. And so the week beforehand, Kerry was meant to fly out actually and do 10 days of running on the new ultra trail course in Kosciuszko in Australia. And I just said to him, you've got a lot of running coming up ahead this week. Just walk anything that you don't feel confident with. I just didn't want him to ride it. And so then I got back ready for my swim, got this phone call, and it was, Ali, I've had an accident. And I was going, you're joking. I thought he was winding me up because I'd been kind of on his case a little bit about it, but also it's Kerry.
That's so funny, isn't it? Do you think that's like a wife's intuition thing, or
I think there was, and
intuition,
Kerry actually had intuition as well, because he'd kind of said, I didn't really sleep the night before, and I was kind of thinking about it.
In my head all night. It was really weird, and I thought that was
About that particular jump.
Yeah, I thought it was just focus.
But if someone said to you, okay, you can do this jump, there's a 1% chance that this accident's going to happen, would you have attempted it still?
Oh, this is a funny one, Dom, because, we spend a lot of time in this ward. You go over the accident a million times and think about all of those sliding door moments.
Yeah.
And, would you have done it, or would you do it differently, or, would you have put it off for a different bike or a different setup, or any of those sorts of things. And it leads to that bigger picture of, should we take risks at all? And how do I feel about it now? I've got kids. Do I want them, we have trampoline accidents in here, or leap park accidents. We've got, people, Kiwis just doing what Kiwis do. We have to do these things, I don't know that everyone has to bike off a 2 metre, but risk is part of what we do, I don't want to wrap the world up in cotton wool, and I wouldn't live any differently. Yeah. I arrived at where I am at 44 because I took risks and I did stuff, A week before I was on Rotorua, jumping over icy crevasses, climbing down, cliff faces with scrambling rock. My life is replete with incredibly dangerous, probably stupid things, but that's experience, that's what life is for. And I'm sorry if you're too shy to get the skateboard out. And Tom, I think you're missing out on some stuff here, mate. I would take you for a run if I still could. I promise. We would go some places.
Yeah. Oh man, that's such a good attitude. Such a good one. Yeah.
I've always said I feel like I've had enough experience in my short years to, I lived as few men dared to dream. I did so much that it doesn't worry me. Had I just lost my legs, it wouldn't be an issue. But take my hands, this is ridiculous. I can't use a keyboard or a mouse. I can't even flip someone off. It's so frustrating.
You can't?
I can't do anything. I can't move my hands at all.
I have to help him pick his nose.
Because we're sitting here, and just to set the scene, like you're sort of gesticulating. Yes. You're using your hands, but you can't pick your nose. No, I thought I saw you itching your face before scratching your face.
I believe I have a fully functioning penis, but I can't use it. It's frustrating. We have discussions in here. Would you rather, have
hands or penis?
Hands
That's
or
one
penis.
of the conversations we have. Some guys have their hands and don't have any function in that area.
Right.
What would you do?
And then, like Kerry's, he's got sensation in his penis.
This podcast is going somewhere.
His hands are not functioning.
Right.
He can't use his fingers.
Oh, so you can still get an erection.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Right. So you can. Sorry for fixating on this, and we will move on. So you can get an erection, but you've got no feeling in it.
No, I have full feeling. Oh. It's great. Yeah, it's no worries. But I just can't. I haven't got the hands for it.
So you just can't.
I can't. No manual override.
All right. Got it.
No, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I can just look at it. So, frustrating. Sorry, are people running to this? I don't know.
Maybe. I know, it's inspirational. Okay, so it's
far out. So very personal information, Dom.
What is you brought it up?
Oh, more than once.
But I think it's actually good. Like, we've been really open and candidly sharing whatever this is, and I think it's important because we had no idea about spinal cord injuries, what to expect.
No one does.
No.
Kiwis should, because they churn them out. Between Christchurch and here, there's usually one mountain bike accident at all times here. There's usually, 3 or 4 motorbike accidents in here. There's car accidents. There's all sorts of tragic stories of just Kiwis going about their daily lives. So,
and in the summer, lots of swimming accidents, like just diving into the water at the beach and hitting a sandbank or
diving into shallow water.
There were swimming pools, watering holes, waterfalls, you name it. Kiwis love water. Super cool.
So where we are now, this has been your home since the accident happened, pretty much. You get to go home in another few weeks. What's that going to look like? Like, do you have a caregiver provided for you?
I have 24-hour care, so that's the level of my injuries. A team of 5 will have round-the-clock care for me to the end of my days. Yeah, just catching up with everyone's really important, but really want to get back to my job. I can't use a keyboard and mouse, but I can still use a laptop with voice activation software, so dictation software. So the inbox is filling up as it always does, and there's athletes that need support for various races. The sun keeps rising and events are hosted, so I just want to get back to coaching and back to working. So
and hopefully we're going to MC at the Possum in mid-June. So Kerry, we've always MC'd at different events, and we're looking forward to getting back to that as well. And so sharing that story is also part of that, being able to integrate back into the communities that we love being part of, with them understanding
and the community loves you guys as well.
Yeah.
And
We've
it's
seen a few athletes.
what's that?
We've met a few athletes on finish lines and start lines.
Yeah. And but I think people love you. Like maybe some love you for your like athletic prowess, but I think most of it's your personality and your charm, which hasn't changed.
No, so I met you, I think, for the first time at Fitzyoung Marathon, right? And you just went for a leisurely, 21K?
Yeah, just a half.
Yeah, just a half.
Just a little bitch half.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful distance. I love the way that distance rolls out. I think the first kilometre, you're like, oh, this pace is hurting me. Second kilometre, still not sure. But by the fifth kilometre, you settle into it.
Yeah.
I love this distance because by the 10th kilometre, you're like, I'm halfway through this. I might be able to do this. And then you get to about 16 and 17 and you're like, uh-oh. And then you get to like 19 and 20 and you pretty much just close your eyes, grit your teeth and hang on to the end. I just love the way that the story of 21K rolls out. It's such a good distance to race. If I could race one distance over and over again, it would be 21Ks.
Jeez, that's poetic.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
Poetic. No one has never like described a half marathon to me quite like that.
Intimately, I love that distance. Yeah, it's great fun,
it's a great distance.
Gone are the days of me holding 3:30s through the gate. Like in
3:30K pace.
Yeah, I used to be. Not that it matters now; it's not relevant. But I used to love the feeling of running fast. That sensation of when you're on tarmac and you just push and you go, you're flying along, you're feeling good. Anything under fours is just it feels like you're flying. I love it, and I know I'll miss that. But as a guy in his 40s, I was getting ready to miss it anyway.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like that's enough. That's enough about the injury and where things are at. We've got so much other stuff to talk about. First of all, I want to know how you guys met. How did you guys meet each other? You see, 7 years you've been together. You're such an amazing couple. I can't imagine going back 8 years and seeing you two. Yeah, it's hard to imagine you two without each other.
So there's a really neat event that they do in National Park called the T42s, and it's a total sport event. And Aaron and his team, really cool, really welcoming. They throw a massive party at the Park Lodge in National Park, and so I was there that Saturday night, and I just bumped into this girl on the dance floor, and she said, "Hey, where are you going?" And anyway, one thing led to another, and we got chatting, and she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "I think you should know I'm quite a big deal," and just tongue in cheek, right?
Look at the top of the results list.
I said that on the wall over there are all the results. I think you'll find my name's right at the top of the list, and so she loved that, and she started chipping away at me. So the first thing she did was look at someone on a high horse and think about how she could bring them down to ground. And after about 10 minutes of her making fun of me, I realised how much wit she had and intellect that goes with it, and I needed to reverse the conversation and start an introduction and get to know her better. So is that a fair description of how we met?
Yeah, pretty much. We kind of ended up, it was just like this, really great connection, and we sat down and talked for a couple of hours, I think, and then just kind of
just bonded over both being sarcastic,
cheeky
fucks.
Yeah, pretty much exactly that. Yeah,
but also a love for the outdoors and being active and exploring. So we talked, like at that stage, I was doing a lot of tramping, and we talked about tramping and how much we just loved staying in huts and being in the hills and the mountains.
Was it love at first sight? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I couldn't stop. We were just chatting for hours that night, and I think it's pretty rare. You don't just sort of meet someone and then feel like you really need to chat to them for hours. But yeah, it was really just off the back of her making fun of me for a while that I really enjoyed her. And then nothing's changed, actually, has it? You still do that, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Well, you make fun of me as well.
Oh, as much as I can.
Maybe it's one of our love languages.
Yeah.
It is a love language, I think.
Yeah.
Not an official one, but
no, the eighth love language.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So Kerry's the one that had the accident, and he's in the chair, but it's got to be bloody tough for you as well.
Definitely.
I hate to use the word victim in front of you guys because I don't think either of you would ever have a victim mentality.
Oh no, let's be clear. I had the accident, but I fucked her life too.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah. So how are you doing, and how have you been?
It's been full on, to be honest.
Yeah.
So when Kerry, after that phone call that Kerry said, I've had an accident, I can't feel anything, and I just went straight around to where the ambulance was going to meet him at the forest, And then Reese called, and Reese was like, he actually lost it, crying hysterically, just like, you're going to go.
Who's Reese?
One of our really good friends.
Yeah.
He's the current men's champion of the Rotorua Ultra Marathon.
Yeah, that I coached.
Yeah.
It's like a little love triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Reese was with Kerry for the accident. He actually is also the builder that renovated our house the last year and a half. So, and he also did the Three Peaks run with Kerry. So,
The weekend before.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
yeah, really good friend.
Yeah.
And he was just hysterically crying, saying, "You're going to probably go in the rescue helicopter to Auckland with Kerry." And so I was just kind of like, crikey, like what have I got on me that I can go take to Auckland?
Wetsuit.
Yeah, a wetsuit.
An oversized wetsuit. Your wetsuit.
Yeah. And, met him in the ambulance, and that was pretty shocking, like, to see. They have an outline of a human, and they just had a line from, like, straight across his shoulders sort of thing, like, which I guess obviously indicates that he was paralysed from there down. And seeing his colour and his temperature and kind of disorientation, and that was quite confronting. And then you just end up in Auckland going, like, it's like being picked up by a tornado, and then, like, things are whirling all around you, and you're just going, how the hell have I got here? Like, what is happening? Trying to make sense of it all. And and so basically moved to Auckland. Friends brought up our vehicle and clothes for me and all that sort of stuff. And then just been, with Kerry every day since, just, trying to meet his needs and be there and support him, and also run our businesses and
God, you're superwoman.
Yeah, grow a tiny human.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're having some downtime. You're taking care of yourself.
Not really. I just try and, like everyone says, look after yourself.
Yeah.
But there isn't that space. Like, I mean, that you have to try and do what you can do to look after yourself. So it's basically trying to eat decent food, drink, get whatever sleep you can, and just, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like shelter, food, all that sort of stuff. So I figure, there'll be more recreation time in the future, but not right now. Yeah.
Geez, you got a good one, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm very lucky, but hands off, Dom.
So after the accident, a given little page was set up, and I think this is remarkable. It says a lot about you guys as people. Last time I checked, it was something like 127,000, which is a lot of money. But the thing that got me, that was donated by 1,420 people. So it was not someone coming in with a big lump sum. It was like a whole lot of little donations. That's a lot of people who obviously have some sort of connection or some sort of feeling towards you guys, which is hugely humbling.
We were really blown away by it. When Ali came and saw me in ICU, she said, there's $27,000 on a Give a Little page. And I was like, how have we influenced that many people's lives? Like, if you think about, Dom, all the passing interactions you've had with other humans, are enough of them positive that that person would go, oh, Dom, I remember Dom, I'd like to do something to help him out. We're talking thousands of people that we've been in contact. I didn't even know that was possible. Through our business, we have obviously a lot of interactions with people, many thousands of athletes that we've coached in the last 6 years, but you think you're just a small cog in the system, like you stand on a finish line, you cheer athletes in, you help athletes achieve their, their running goals or those sorts of things, but you never really think, we've treated them like humans and as friends and, with kindness and with love and compassion, but you never expect it to come back. And you mentioned that Give a Little, that's just the New Zealand one. We've got one in Australia as well. And again, the outpouring of support there has been overwhelming. Watching videos of people, raise money. They did a virtual event a couple of weeks ago, and everyone got out and they went and got groups of people together, and they ran and to support us. And it's I don't even know where to begin with it. You think. Even if you think about, imagine your own funeral, people do. Someone's reading a eulogy, how many people in the room? Is it thousands? Dom, do you think there's thousands of people who want to see you off? I can't believe how many people have supported us.
Yeah. Getting money out of people, it's a hard thing as well. So, no, it really is. It's one of the hard. Like, it's easy to write a comment on Facebook, like, "Oh, Kerry, get well soon," but to take that next step and donate money to someone that you've had a brush with,
we never asked for it either. You know, like it's not we didn't set it up. It was one of our athletes did, and you know, like maybe a small post somewhere. I don't really know, but
when they said that they wanted to start one, and I was like, no, just donate money to the first response in the forest. They helped Kerry, or Westpac Rescue Helicopter or something like that. Like, we don't need it. But then in hindsight, it's been amazing because there is, you know, like there is support via ACC and the DHBs and stuff. But like, I've probably spent over 10,000 on accommodation, and that is hopefully going to be reimbursed, but it hasn't yet. And also like new clothing for Kerry, because you can't wear things with pockets underneath, like could cause a precious sore.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think of anything like that.
And footwear, you go up a size in your footwear.
Wait, you go up a size in your foot? Why?
Yeah, because of, you know, blood pooling and the potential for precious sores.
I can't move my feet, so none of the blood comes back, so everything pools down there.
Yeah.
And one of the other downsides to the injury is I'm always freezing cold now. So even, you know, you're in a T-shirt, I'm in 2 layers, and I'm considering a third.
But some people have the opposite. So your nervous system controls all of these things, and that's being disrupted. So, yes, people with spinal cords injuries present in a lot of different ways. And for Kerry, he was freezing. So I've gone out and bought puffer jackets and blankets and, you know, beanies and even a snood, much to my disgust.
A what?
A snood.
I love my snood. Oh,
What's
it's like a scarf tube.
Sounds cozy.
It doesn't look great to a man. I'm very happy when you see me in a snood and a woolen beanie that's in the middle of the Auckland sun.
It's warm here today.
Yeah, 22 or 23, and he's rugged up like he's in Antarctica.
So, I mean, is that money going to go far? What do you do with it? You build a ramp at home, or is that paid for?
The rehab that I have to do out of here, not a lot of it's really supported by ACC. They do obviously bits and pieces with physios and the like, but you know, to see a neurophysio and get hooked up to machines that might actually help me get some of my muscles back. We're talking $4,000 a month, so
potentially, depending where we go. So we want to, and you know, like, technology evolves all the time, and having that money available will mean that we can just go, we want to give this a crack while we can. So that is really good. And I mean, there's lots of earnings as well, for, like on my behalf, and ACC pay 80% of Kerry's salary, which is amazing. So
how long do you get the 80% for?
My earning life.
Unless he changes his workload, like, you know, maybe. So there is. We didn't talk about that really before, but there is potential for surgeries for Kerry. So nerve transfer surgery, because there's 2. So if you hold your fist out in front of you and then you rotate it so that your palm is facing up, there are 2 nerves that control that movement, and they can take the one from the inside, move it to the top of your arm, and then that will create an open and close of the fingers. So you could end up with a clenched grasp.
Right. Masturbation.
It's great. It's looking pretty good, eh? That 4 inches won't be lonely for long, Dom.
Is he exaggerating again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Geez, we live in a good country, don't we? Like to have the healthcare that we've got and the support systems in place that we've got.
The surgery that we get is amazing, to be honest. Yeah. So I can potentially get some other surgery called Troid's surgery, where they move a muscle from my shoulder and it'll do the job of my triceps a little bit. So I won't punch myself in the face when I go to scratch my nose or anything like that. So,
yeah. Have you found, like, for you two being like ultra athletes and being super fit, and I suppose having that runner's mentality where you put one foot in front of the other, has that sort of helped, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. So you've run marathons, obviously, and you know what it's like at 35 kilometres when you're like, this is a bad place to be. This is the hardest bit. That's where I live, you know. So for any
at the moment,
that's where I exist forever.
Right.
There's kind of like there's no way out of this. This is the worst that it could be, right? So it's not that early part of the race where you're feeling great, the body's moving fine, and you think the PB's today. And it's not that bit when you're near the finish line and you realise, you know, I'm going to make it. This is great. You know, I'm going to get there. I'm stuck in the shit bit. So I'm a giant turd pile with a tiny shovel, and I've got nothing. There's nothing you can do but smile about it, right? Attitude's the only thing you've got. So, in those spots when you are suffering the most, the best thing that you can do is go calm yourself, be centered, and realise that you've done the work, and you've got to have a good positive outlook. Otherwise you're going to derail your race. You slow down, you lose momentum, and that PB will sneak away. So yeah, I think running has really set me up well for this. This is an ultra marathon that I'm in that. For those that have run Tarawera 100k, I'm stuck on Western Okataina in the middle of the night spewing in the bushes, and it's never going to get any better than that. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the middle of the night and you're spewing in the bush, but you're still doing it with a smile on your face.
That's all you can do, and ultra runners know this, right? You're laughing whilst you're having this terrible experience. You've never chafed so bad in your life, and yeah, this is. Well, I'm starting to not dress up ultra marathon very well, but come try it out. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, so let's talk about Squadrun. So you guys met, you got together, and then when was Squadrun born?
Pretty much in that moment, it was.
So what were you doing before that?
I was a network security analyst, so I work on big international clients to keep the bad guys out. So that was fun. And it was a long-standing IT career, and it paid very well, but it had a very beige existence.
Right.
It wasn't very fulfilling. So I think Squadrun started. I figured out a system for coaching, a scalable method of supporting athletes without charging them too much money, and I put it to the Tarawera group, and a lot of athletes immediately jumped on board, and I realised that I had something here. I had a way of helping lots of people, and that's. I think the founding thought behind Squadrun is how can I help more people? Because most running coaches, are in the laborious task of, helping a handful of privately coached athletes. And, you can handle 20, maybe 30 of those athletes before the book's full. And I was like, that's not acceptable. There are more people than that need support, and I must find a way to do it. And so Squadrun was born out of that. And that was 6 years ago, and we sort of started working with some of the bigger events like Ultra Trail Australia and now Ultra Trail Kosciuszko, Queenstown Marathon, and just helping as many athletes as we can. And it's been, I think, 3,000 to 4,000 athletes we've worked with in the last 6 years. And they're not just numbers to us. These people, we know the name of their dogs. They're welcome in our homes. They're friends, which is reflected in, I guess, that give a little, which you were talking about before. We're really committed in their lives. We're there at the finish lines of the major events. Even the events that we don't have heaps of athletes at, we want to be there and see people finish and have that experience. And I don't know why other coaches aren't. You very rarely. I know running coaches. Why aren't they at events? That's payday. That's when you see your athlete do the thing. Forget the money they've paid you. See their smile on the finish line. Watch them cry when they achieve the thing that they didn't believe they could do. Only you did. It's a special moment for us, and I think having have helped thousands of people, it's been really special to be part of Squadrun, and you're definitely not going to let that go, and I want to get back on those tools as soon as possible.
God, you have so much passion. You can just hear it. I'll tell you what, a funny thing. I've had another guy on the podcast, Barry McGee, who won a bronze medal.
Yeah, we know Barry.
At the 1960 Rome Olympics. So he's in his late 80s now.
Yep.
Charges people something like $5 a month, I think, to do their programs, and then he goes out and watches them race, and he gets satisfaction out of it, because it's like almost living vicariously, I guess, through his athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. As an athlete myself, I was competitive, and I tried really hard, and I achieved lots of things. I won stuff, as it course records, all of the stuff that an athlete could be really proud of, and have all the trophies in the pool room. But weirdly, when I became a running coach, I realised that it wasn't just my success that mattered, it was other people's success. So rather than having that one moment where you cross the finish line, stop your watch and see what you've achieved, you can stand on that finish line and see what hundreds of people have achieved. And you have those same moments, that same sensation when you've gifted that to someone else. So it's way more rewarding to be a running coach in that scenario than to be the athlete themselves. And so Barry is he epitomises that, and I know some of his athletes, and they speak very highly of him, and that nominal charge is just so, you've got to have some skin in the game, right? The athlete's got to have some skin in the game, and the coach has got to have some skin in the game. So that's kind of why Squadrun was sort of set up at that sort of, very low price point to help, help athletes that wouldn't otherwise want to invest $40 or $50 a week in a private running coach.
Yeah. Oh, how much is it? We'll get some plugs in here for Squadrun.
Oh, no, what are we like, $15?
Yeah, $15 plus GST.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Per week.
Yeah, per week.
Oh, yeah.
And so we'll give them a tailored running program, and it's unique to them and specific to the event, and we provide all the support for it. So, obviously with coaching, people think it's a running plan, and that's all that coaching is, but it's so much more than that, because, the athletes need to know, when you talk about trail and ultra, they need to know all of the details about, your fueling and hydration, and understanding the course and executing a good run. There's a psychology of it that really matters. It's all the little things that go with it as well.
It's the whole holistic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've written some great articles online. There's actually one that you wrote about a year ago about mindset.
Yes.
And it's like, I thought that it's so applicable to the situation you're in now. Like, it's transferable.
Yeah, there's a fascinating meta-analysis of a lot of the research they do on the psychology of running, called I think it's a psychological determinants of whole body endurance performance, and in that they break down many of the different research papers that have been done on the psychology of endurance athletes, and it is absolutely applicable to this situation. There are three key things that came from it, and one of them is to have a mantra, right? To be able to repeat to yourself. In this situation, I say, what can I do today? What is it I can do today? So how can I progress with my purpose? So what is it I can do today? And my brother gave me that mantra, and that helped. There's positive imagery, right? So surrounding yourself with, just simply a smiling face on the side of a marathon course will cheer you up. Someone cheering you on makes a difference. If I put you on a treadmill, told you to run as fast as you could, you would actually run faster if there were people cheering you on. If I revealed a curtain and there was all your family and friends in a small grandstand cheering you on, you could go harder and faster. And so we know that. So again, having that positive imagery around you, having obviously people like Ali, but even photos on the wall of family and friends. So that positive imagery is really important as well. And the other one is goal setting. So athletes need to be able to set goals, and not just major goals like I want to break 1:20 for a half marathon. It could be I want to run strong to the next aid station, right? So I'm going to think about my form and body position, and like all the things that I know are important, my cadence and my breathing or whatever it might be. And so you set that small goal, you reach that aid station, and you go, I achieved that goal. I got some success from that. I feel good. Now I'll set a new goal. I'm going to run well to the top of that hill up there. So even just goal setting at that level is really useful. Right. And you can see how that's obviously transferable to my current situation as well. What is it I can do in the gym? Can I do 45 minutes on the upper limb cycle? Can I spend an hour in my manual chair today? Those sorts of goals. You break your life down into setting goals and achieving them the same way a squirrel gathers nuts for the winter. It's one little nut at a time, and you set those goals and you can achieve great things. It ends up being hundreds of nuts stored for the winter.
Oh, there's so many good takeaways here. Everyone deals with their own degree of shit at some point in their life. Like, most people won't deal with the degree of shit that you're dealing with right now. But there's so many good takeaways from this. So many things that any person can apply to their own life.
Yeah, look, I don't want to discredit depression. We have a major problem with teen suicide and mental health in New Zealand. And there's a lot of people, everyone's going through something or has been through something. But look, if you've had a tough day on social media and things aren't going so great for you and the black dogs come to visit, please frame your depression with what I'm going through. Look, what other people are going through as well, because it might just help to understand that everyone's going through something and many people are going through something worse than you.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, you mentioned Brad. He was a wakeboarder that had an accident and landed on a ramp about 7 years ago. He would give anything to have the arm movement that you've got. He would look at you with so much envy. That's the thing.
It's easy to do here. Comparison is a thief of joy, isn't it? Wouldn't you like 100%. To go over 70 minutes for a half marathon or 65 minutes for a half marathon, right? You beat yourself up.
These days I'll do anything for a sub 130.
Yeah. You try so hard and you don't always succeed, but failure is part of the process, Dom, You failed the first time you tried to walk, You failed at talking for many years. You failed the first time you tried to ride your bike, Like, I failed the first time I tried to ride my bike and the last time I tried to ride my bike, which is rather ironic, but failure is part of the process, right? And, you have to be okay with that. That's an important part of it, And seeing and not comparing yourself to others. I look in the gym here, and there's people that are standing up and walking around, and I'm really happy with them. But fuck, it annoys me to see their success when I know that's not for me. That'll never be me. So there's that. Be happy with who you are and achieve what you can. for a fat IT guy, I did an incredible job of, cobbling together a running career and then learning a lot about running. And
Did you say a fat IT guy? Were you ever fat?
I was a portly.
Right.
He says he wasn't that fat, Tom.
No.
By my own measure, yeah. No.
I think he was about, 80 or 90 kilos.
25 kilos less now.
Yeah. When are you writing a book? Has anyone approached you yet? You've
No, I don't.
You've got some what?
This has been really liberating for my ego. But even previously, I never was in a situation where I felt like I'm okay with my own mortality. I've got a story to tell, but no one needs to hear it. Life's full of far more interesting people than me. I don't know. By no measure would I like to. I don't like being in a spotlight as much. I make a lot of noise. I can hold a microphone and talk in front of thousands of people. Dom, you're probably familiar with this, but you actually don't necessarily always want to be the centre of attention.
Right.
And life doesn't have to be about you.
No, but I feel like your story and your perspective and your outlook could be helpful to other people. So not just like an ego boost thing. I'm Kerry and this is my story, but it's like just the way that you frame things. It could be so helpful to other people.
I would actually like to see him, probably a month or so ago, I said to some friends, I'd really like to see Kerry go into schools and talk to kids because I think there's a lot of learning to be had in our community about spinal cord injuries and also, mindset and...
How to successfully land a good jump on a mountain.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you're not the guy for that.
No, you're not that guy.
I succeeded sometimes before I failed as well.
Before.
Yeah.
I like helping people, but, really my focus is on how do I help ordinary people achieve, real people achieve extraordinary things. This is one of the cool things about, running, is it's not an exclusive sport. We welcome everyone.
Yes.
And particularly in trail running, it's incredibly welcoming, And Squadrun was never built around how do we help the top 10% of people. We help, the 80% of the people.
Well, you thought it was going to be. So Kerry thought that he'd have, all the people that took their shit super seriously paying him for running coaching. And it ended up being people like me that are just, mid-pack, want to know how to do it right and get support. We coach the whole spectrum, right? We've coached the winner to probably the very last finisher. And that was, I think, a bit of a shock for you, right, when we started, but these people, they signed up for 100 Ks, and they're currently running 5 to 10 Ks. How the heck are we going to get them there? But that's also where the beauty is, seeing these people that have such huge progressions or that have a lot of, just normal real lives doing these really cool things and being there to share that moment at the finish line is really special. You just see that rawness and emotion and know their story, and it's a really big reward.
God, you guys both really do care, don't you? If someone's listening to this that's like a non-runner that is maybe contemplating doing their first half or 10K or whatever, would Squadrun be for them?
Start by building some foundation, I think. Before you take on a running program, just, you want to know you can paddle out before you swim. So running, I couldn't run 2Ks. And that was really the goal, was to see if I could get up to running 2Ks at a time. And then I sort of set myself a goal to try and do it for 100 days. And then at the end of that, a little bit of fitness came on. So I would say if you aren't a runner and you're considering, you'd love to be a runner, is get out, just find the old lawn mowing shoe to start with and get out there. And it doesn't have to be a run. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be walking breaks. It can be mostly walking. It can be periods of jogging. But don't set the goal too high. The 2K hood run around the block is all that it takes to get going. It takes patience and consistency. It doesn't take natural talent. I would hate to see people think that they aren't able to do something because they don't have the right genes for it, or they may be too heavy, or they're worried what other people are going to think. There's two types of people that see you running. There's runners that see you running, no matter who you are, running awkwardly down the road, and they're supportive, and they're like, look at that person running, they're doing a great job. And then there's those other people that don't think kindly of you, and you know what? Go fuck those people. They're not there to support you. Who cares, right?
I sort of think, because a lot of people are very self-conscious, whether it's going to the gym or whether it's running, and you worry about what other people think. When you realise that every single person to a degree is worried about what everyone thinks, and you realise they're just thinking about themselves and they're not actually thinking about you all that much, you can just get on with things.
Yeah.
But I do agree with what you're saying. The people that small portion of people that do think unkindly or say mean things, fuck them.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what they think? They're not a part of your life. They're
Yeah.
not important to you.
You're out there doing it.
That's right. And it's the same. Look, I'm in a chair, and I'm in a powered chair, and you can. I'm sorry, listeners. This is a large bit of machinery that I can operate with my wrist, basically, and it looks ungainly. It's not. I'm not disabled like an ordinary manual wheelchair. I'm in sort of, it's a big black, heavy battery powered machine, and I look disabled. Like this is serious. And I take it out in public, and do I care what other people think of when they see this thing? No, I don't. I choose not to let that get to me. If I felt like that, I'd never go outside. So I'm just not going to let it. I'm going to let other people's opinion of me hold me back, and it shouldn't, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with you, when you approach people, I suppose they'll notice the chair first, but then as soon as you open your mouth and speak, your personality is big enough that you sort of forget about the chair. The chair becomes invisible. And
I realised that was the only time I felt, I feel really normal is when I'm just in conversation with someone else, when they realise that I'm still the same human being, and we have the same chats. When I've been able to catch up with mates, there's nothing. When I'm online on Discord or whatever, chatting to friends, I'm still the same person. I'm still the same voice, still the same sense of humour, still the same dickbag that I was before.
But this is one thing that I've learned actually, is that people that have had a disability forced upon them are probably the most bravest and resilient and determined people that you'll meet. So
how do you mean? Just because they've had to be?
Yeah, they've had to be. They've got through the bloody most shit situation that you could probably think of, and they've shown up day after day, giving it their best, and somehow managed to carry on living their lives. And when you see them, you should just go, man, that person must be frickin' tough to be living their life in that situation.
Sorry if I made it look easy. This is fucking hard. This is really hard.
You do make it look easy. I mean, but I'm here with you. I suppose the admin of the morning's done. Like, you've had your bowels cleared.
Yes.
You've had someone dress you. Yeah. You're wearing a cool pair of wool Allbirds. You've got a ultra marathon hat on. You just look like a cool dude in a chair. But I haven't seen the hard work or the hours that it took this morning to get to this point.
Yeah, it's 2 hours to get ready in the morning, 2 to 3 hours. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And a frustrating reliance on other people. Like Kerry is, he's always kind of run off his own steam, and just wanted to be in charge of his own life, and so that's been a real hard pill to swallow as well.
Yeah.
Going, I need people to help me each day, and I'm reliant on them and their time frames. Yeah,
actually, Brad Smaler, the wakeboarder, he said a similar thing to me, because he's an A-type personality, perfectionist, like things done a certain way, and now he's got these caregivers who he described as being woefully underpaid, and they can't always get things done the meticulous way he likes them done. Are you going to be okay with that?
Oh yeah, if you want to see frustration, you give someone with ADD a spinal cord injury, because Brad's probably a lot like me. He's very jittery and wants to do things all the time. So your inability to do things is really frustrating. Look, shit, I've got arms but no hands, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't actually do anything. And I describe, Ali doesn't like it, I describe it as sort of like a ghost. If you've imagined what it's like to be a ghost, you could be in a room and you can interact, but you can't actually physically do anything. And I sit in a chair and I think about how great it would be if I could put a t-shirt on or take a t-shirt off. Like I put my shoes on or off, or pull a weed or do anything. I can't interact with the world in any way. I can't operate a TV remote. I exist, but I can talk, but I can't do much else. So.
Yeah, but that interaction is actually what's so vital. Like if you see Kerry in the dining room here, he's holding court with the other guys and entertaining them and also cheering them on and sharing the highs and the lows. And so he still has a lot of power, but it's just not such a physical power anymore.
Why don't you like the description where he calls himself a ghost?
Because he'll say things like, I have no hands or I have no legs, and I'm like, you still have hands and legs. Like I feel like he still needs to really appreciate and recognise that those parts of his body, because they've given him so much over the years, and keep that, the thought and connection there just in case we can get whatever we can back. So I just think, there is potential for neuroplasticity and the power of the mind, and keeping engaged with them rather than kind of becoming disenfranchised to this part of your body that's not cooperating how you want it to.
Alex just wiping his eyes. You all right? Have you had a day so far that you've been in here that you haven't cried?
Oh, good question. No, I don't. Most days I think I get through. Some days are hard. It's just you don't know why. Like that's the human condition, isn't it? Some days you wake up and you just for some reason you're halfway through a shit sandwich and you don't know why. So no, most days I'm pretty good if I can think about. No, it's the other way around actually. I think it's the bad thoughts are like leaves in a stream. Like you think about one shit thing like I can't even roll over in bed, and then you think about another shit thing. It's like I would like to do something about the heat pump in here, but I can't push a button. And you think about how depressing it might be that I can't. I'm going to have a baby, but I can't hold it. If you let all of those leaves build up, you'll block the stream, and then when you get that situation, you cause a flood, and that's when you have it that you're stuck in a negative loop there. So I think I try to acknowledge that there's a bad thought, but don't chase it and don't add to it, and then immediately try and pivot to finding some positive outlook, like what can I do today, and what have I got coming up today, and what's the progress, what's my purpose, where will I be in 2 years' time, those sorts of things. So you're finding the positive approach to not focus on the bad thoughts.
Have you been seeing a therapist or anyone?
They provide them here, but actually last few times I've said, we're good. If you want to talk about tying shoelaces, I can help. But, yeah.
Have you ever seen a therapist in your life?
Not prior to being here, no.
It's quite funny because like some of the stuff I've seen therapists over the years, and it's like some of the stuff that you were saying, it's like you just instinctively know it, and that's stuff you've been taught. Like a therapist said to me, if you find yourself having negative thoughts or bad thoughts, catch yourself and say, is this helpful? And then if it's not, then flush it away. Yeah. It's almost like you just instinctively know this stuff, which is why you got to write that book.
Oh, I think probably all the survivors, all the people out there that don't suffer with mental health must have ways that they don't, choose not to.
Yeah.
It's funny. I never really I understood a lot of people did suffer mental health prior to this, and I appreciate the problems that they're going through and really feel for them, but realise at the same time, you have that little voice in the back of your mind. I'm like, why don't you just choose to be happy? And which shows that shows a complete lack of understanding of the scenario, because that's always been my way out of it. It's like I just choose to be happy, but maybe I'm just too dumb and that I don't get caught up on those things. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Like I think there are people that have like clinical depression, and there's like an imbalance in their brain that needs medication to help. But for everyone else, there's physical health and there's mental health, and you got to do everything you can for your own mental health. Like if you're feeling bad, like drink more water or eat better food or get more sleep or cut back on the alcohol, but like do everything you can, prioritise that shit, and then if it's still no good, then go and see a doctor.
I was lucky to have, as I said, really good psychological support here, which obviously is very well needed, and I see a lot of the patients really, really require it and really get a lot out of it, and I certainly did in the first few weeks, and I remember just bawling for an hour at a time.
So that bawling for an hour at a time, was that just like, I suppose, like mourning? Yeah,
it's grieving. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Grieving. Yeah.
Yep. It's a loss of a life. I miss my old life. I had a perfect existence. I felt like I was. We would coach for 10 to 12 hours a day, but sometimes. And
what is it? More than that? Less than that?
It used to be diabolical. We used to let the work really inundate us, and we would often be coaching until 10 p.m. at night, close the laptop and go to bed. But my life was, I would say, perfect. I never felt like I needed to change anything. So I felt like at 44 I'd finally arrived, and then I guess some greater power decided that I needed to change direction in a serious way and learn something else about life. So
yeah, Kerry had been worried, Dom, before with the pregnancy that this baby was going to mess up our life, that it was just a major change. And the irony of
He's grimacing now.
Yeah, the irony of it is quite, yeah.
We've got some compounding issues here. It's cumulatively difficult now.
Are you going to get enough of an adrenaline kick out of coaching people and then seeing them smash their goals or see them at the finish line? Is that going to be enough of an adrenaline kick for you? moving forward?
Yeah, I'll need to find my own outlet as well.
Yeah.
So, and on top of obviously the coaching, I'm going to need my own thing, whatever that is, and I haven't worked out what that is yet. I don't know whether I'm going to try wheelchair rugby or recumbent cycles, or I'm going to need some sort of physical outlet to de-stress as well. So we'll have to work out what that's going to be.
Yeah, he's always had a sense of movement and adventure, and I think like in this situation he can still have that. And I think I made the physios and doctors' eyes boggle when I said, Kerry's always been an athlete, I expect that to continue. Because they were kind of like, oh, wow, But it's true. Like, I expect that he'll find a way to still be out there moving and to be engaging with nature. It will be in a different way to what it was. Mountaintops will be a bit harder now. But I still think that, whether it's adapted kayaking or adapted biking or something like that, maybe learning to swim again, we'll see. We'll find out, but I don't doubt for a second that he's just going to sit there doing nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I fully agree. It's just not you.
No, I've just got to find a way. It's good. It's kind of been hard, Dom, watching the muscle atrophy as well, like going through this process, just seeing, legs that have worked for 20 years just sort of slowly melt away. And
Has that happened already?
oh, gone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very fast.
So 3 months?
Oh, easily gone. Well and truly gone in that time. So I'm down about, 10% of my body weight again.
And I thought this might be I don't know if this is a dumb question or a sensitive question, but when you dream, are you still able?
Great question.
Is it?
Yeah.
This is a great question. So I still dream that I can walk, but I know that I'm not a walker. So in the dream, I'll get up and I'll walk around the place, and it was like, oh, it's so great you're walking, and I'm like, yeah, I really shouldn't be because I'm disabled. So I still dream in walking, which is kind of weird, but I know I know I shouldn't.
Yeah, that was quite a weird thing for me. Oh, God, you're going to make me cry. Was like going, when does it change? Because like in my dreams, he was moving, and then I think maybe a couple of weeks then I had a dream that he was like lying in a bed and he couldn't go into a room because of the COVID risk, so he was outside on this bed with a mask, and I was like, oh, this is the start of me accepting this situation. And now I think he is, I don't know what he is in my dreams now. I think it is, his disability is there, but it did, like, there were some quite confronting dreams that you'd wake up from and just be like, oh, brutal.
Oh, you're both such an amazing couple. You really are. I'm so pleased you've got each other.
Yeah.
God, you got me crying. Yeah. It's a shit thing you're going through, but, if anyone can handle it, I reckon you can, mate.
Yeah, that's a lot of people have said that. It's almost like it's good that it happened to me, right?
It is. I couldn't have handled it, I don't think. Yeah.
You just would. You say you couldn't handle it, but I suppose if you're in that situation, it's like, well, there's two options, just handle it or take the other way out.
Yeah.
I have a lot to come to terms with. I've lost decades off my life. I'm 44 now, and I'm going to have a baby. How old will that baby be when I'm not?
I don't know what to say. I suppose you just make as much of an impact while you can, and I know you will. But you're going to be an incredible dad.
Yeah.
Hey.
Like,
however many years there are, it's
nobody knows that too. Like, nobody knows how many years they have on this planet, and it's just going right. Like, nothing is guaranteed. We've found that out the hard way. Is that you think you have your life planned out, and it's not. You can get thrown a massive curveball. So it's just going, that old cliche of taking each day as it comes and making the most of it, and bringing that love and laughter to your days, and that focus and purpose and passion as well, because that's what we've got in leaps and bounds, and that's what we have filled our days with and will continue to fill our days with. It's just, kind of riding out the storm as best we can, eh?
Well, mine's an injury that moves me back towards life, so...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and if things were different, you may have never got to meet your daughter.
That's right, yeah.
Well, I'm hoping it's a son, Dom.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, why assuming. Did you say it was a daughter? No.
He's got 2 daughters already.
I have,
Yeah.
which I love very much.
How old are you girls?
10 and 12.
Yeah.
And they're great kids. They are they're very, smart and loving and caring, and they're going through this as well. This is hard for them. They've been up a few times to visit, and it's obviously great to see them and spend time with them. So they're a big focus for my future as well, and how can I continue to be their dad as well? Nothing changes there. I think if you're a father, you just want to dad as hard as you can. And I'll have a lot of time to throw at being a dad, which is what many dads have.
Well, you're a fully sent guy. It's just how you've lived your life, and obviously it didn't always work out for the best. But I'm sure that's how you parent as well. And your girls are lucky to have you, and the unborn one as well that's on the way. When's the due date?
The 12th of October.
12th of October. Yeah. Listen, however many years you've got left, Kerry, and hopefully it's plenty. I'm sure you're going to make a real impact on that baby's life.
And hopefully some other people too. If I can help other people, I love doing it.
Well, you already have, and you will continue to do so, I'm sure. Yeah. Squadrun. What's the website?
Squadrun.co.nz, or if you're in Australia, it's squad.run.
Hey, it's been fabulous sitting down with you guys today. Where are we again, Ali? What's the thing? It's got a long name.
Auckland Spinal Rehabilitation Unit,
Yeah.
Would not recommend visiting.
2 stars.
Yeah. Great people, great service, but don't do it.
You also spinal injuries. What would I say? Assess the risk would be now the MO. Think about what you're doing in New Zealand. This isn't a glamorous existence, having someone rummage around your bum every morning. Try and avoid that at all costs.
I've seen some porn where people pay big money for that.
That's what I can't understand. People do this recreationally.
I was so disappointed, Dom, when we got to ED at Middlemore, and the nurse there was like, okay, I'm going to roll them over. I'm going to roll you over and put my finger in your bum hole. And I'm like, I haven't even been allowed to do that. And now you're just letting every Tom, Dick and Harry bloody finger your bum.
Not everyone.
Not a dick, just a Tom and a Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the dick.
All right, I think that's a good note to end it on. Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you so much for your time today, guys, and best of luck for whatever the future may bring.
Thanks, Tom.